This middle-sized building in the Cayman Islands is home to almost 19,000 companies. Now, either everyone that works there is really, really small, or it's corporate corruption. Yeah, it's corporate corruption. In order to understand why I really hate tax havens and how we can end them almost easily, we need to understand what they are. A tax haven is a country or jurisdiction that attracts companies with very low or even zero taxes. But that's not all. Low taxes are only half of it. You don't want the world to know that you're skipping out on tax, and often you want to hide how much money you have or where it comes from, so guaranteeing banking secrecy is also a big part of what makes a good tax haven. This is why they are also very popular with criminal organizations and corrupt politicians. Tax havens are usually small countries because they have a lot to gain from this position. As ridiculous as it sounds, even at 0% tax, the additional money from lawyers and accountants that make this system work is a major economic benefit to many small nations. So a small country with low taxes that won't share your banking information. There are some exceptions, but this description includes most tax havens. Some of this isn't legal, but a lot of it is. Often it was made legal on purpose as a result of lobbying and corruption. There are a lot of great videos that go into the details of how tax havens work. But I think there's a more interesting question. Is all of this right? And should we, as a society, allow companies to take advantage of tax havens? Or should we change it? And if we should, how? How can we stop this? So let's answer the first question. Is this wrong? Now, I think this is an easy question to answer, but many YouTubers will say, oh, who knows, it's difficult to say, the system is complicated. Look, I won't be hesitant. This is one of the most evil things in the modern world. Not the most evil, but it's in the top 20. These corporations that are skipping out on tax benefit from their domestic countries in many ways. They use roads and ports. Their workers are educated by the state and treated in state hospitals in most of the world. Their property is protected by police. And often, on top of all of that, they receive government subsidies. And yet, when it comes time to pay back, they pay 0% tax in the Cayman Islands or Bermuda. Those are billions of dollars that would have gone into education, healthcare, research, roads, and all the other stuff that is used both by companies and us, the normal people. This is stealing of the highest degree. Look at it like this. If I go into a local school and steal a $200 TV, I would go to jail, and you would probably all agree that it was a shitty thing to do. But if a company board worth millions decides to skip out on $500 million in taxes, suddenly it's hard to say. And look, that's like stealing 2.5 million TVs. And most of the time, nobody's going to jail for it. Most of this is perfectly legal because the system is set up in such a way. At least for now. Or let me put it like this. A $500 million in taxes means thousands of doctors, scientists, teachers. It means building a hospital in a remote area that never had one. It means expanding a local university so that more students can study there. Now there's always that one guy. You forgot to take into account that government is less effective and more corrupt. Haha. I win this argument. Okay, let's say that it's only 80% or 90% effective. That is still $400 to $400 million in making people's lives better. With tax havens, it's 0% dollars in Panama. Plus, it also makes it impossible for small companies to compete. These complicated tax procedures take money and influence. This is something that only big companies have. So as a small competitor, not only is your competition bigger, they also have a massive advantage in not paying taxes while you have to. Both the tax evasion and money laundering are hurting poorer countries the most. They have less funding and experts in their domestic tax agencies, so it's even harder for them to stop this sort of tax avoidance. It's a shame because they're the ones that need funding the most. A few $1,000s decide whether a village will get clean water or malaria medication for the year. This is the main harm, but there is also a secondary one. Banking secrecy is used to launder money, meaning that almost every criminal organization uses them to hide their finances and support their operations more effectively. I want to be clear, this not only means that there are more drugs, but more gun violence, human trafficking, corruption, and extortion. So I really don't know why people struggle with the question of, is tax avoidance wrong? Okay, so how do we stop tax havens? It is often said that, okay, maybe it's wrong, but that's the reality and there's nothing that can be done. If they offer low tax, we can't stop them. But look, nothing can be further from the truth. Small countries probably couldn't end the tax haven system, but there are two entities with enough power and financial leverage to do so, the US and the EU. Either one. The problem is political. In the US, it's hard to go against lobbying and get enough support in the Senate and the House of Representatives. It's very hard for the two parties to agree. And in the EU, it's difficult to get every country on board, especially since some of them profit off this system. Still, there is progress. Currently, there are efforts to implement a global minimum corporate tax rate. At the end of last year, the European Union set a minimum corporate tax rate of 15% for companies making a turnover of more than 750 million. I won't get into it, but if this trend continues all over the world, it could change a lot. And then there are the other things that America and Europe could do. The first and basic thing is to establish a list of worst tax havens. Use objective criteria and update the list regularly so that countries have an opportunity to get off it if they change their rules. The European Union has this. It's a list of 16 countries, but an argument could be made that it should include more. Okay, and then when you have the list, apply the pressure, both to companies and countries. Change your policies so that if companies have connections to tax havens or if they're not open with their ownership, you will cut off their access to subsidies, public contracts, or even access to your market. This would be a major blow to their bottom line, so they will comply. Corporations will let the world burn for 3% more profit, so they will move. And that's only half of it. Then you can and should also pressure the tax haven itself. Request that they start sharing banking information. Threaten them with trade restrictions, sanctions, visa restrictions. A lot of tax havens rely on tourism, so threaten to cancel all flights. This will work both with companies and the tax havens. They will comply to your requests because they have a lot more to lose now. By pressuring both sides, you could end this. I know tax havens are not something we think about or care about most of the time, and that's their biggest advantage, but we need to start caring. The modern world is complex. Our monsters are not wolves or bears. Our monsters are things like tax havens, always there but never in plain sight. But if enough people see them, understand them, and want to get rid of them, that is something that we can do. Then we can really end this. I hope you enjoyed learning about tax havens and why I hate them personally. If you want to see my videos in the future, you can subscribe and press that bell button. As a small channel, I would really appreciate it. Here are 2 other videos that the YouTube algorithm thinks you might enjoy. Thanks for watching, and I hope you have a great day.